This week on Arizona Illustrated, the healing power of nature.
I used heroin. That was my drug of choice when I came in. And that took me down every single road that they say it'll take you.
Najima Rainey.
Life as we know it, in my opinion, is coming to an end. And I feel like everybody is tense and scared.
And connecting mothers.
For me, God, what a gift. It's like magic watching this happen.
Welcome to Arizona Illustrated. I'm Tom McNamara. Over the next couple of months, Arizona public media journalists and producers will bring you stories behind the ongoing opioid epidemic in southern Arizona as part of a series titled Arizona Addicted. This is our first Arizona Illustrated story in that series, a story about the healing power of the outdoors. The Amity Foundation has created a program where people in recovery are getting in touch with nature at the Circle Tree Ranch east of Tucson.
My name is Sheila Schrader. I am the landscape and garden coordinator at Amity Foundation here in Tucson, Arizona.
At the Amity Foundation, Sheila Schrader is surrounded by towering trees and beloved animals.
That's right, eat your vegetables.
There is also multicultural art representing different faith traditions and serenity.
It's very beautiful to think about, the mystery of it all. And to me, it's just as good of a chapel as any other place.
It is a stark contrast to her early years. While growing up in southeast Arizona, Schrader experienced poverty and witnessed domestic violence. In high school in the early 1970s, she tried marijuana, and from there, it kept on going. Cocaine, alcohol, meth, and then an addictive illegal opioid.
I used heroin. That was my drug of choice when I came in. And I had been using it for about 3 years, which isn't very long compared to most people that we deal with. And that took me down every single road that they say it'll take you. I started snorting at first. I said I would never shoot it. I shot it. I said I would never steal from people. I stole. I said I would never lie to people. I lied. I sold myself, I prostituted, I did everything that they say you'll do. And never dreamed that I would ever do any of those things.
After getting arrested in the 1980s, Schrader was given a choice: seek treatment or face a 3-year prison sentence. Initially, she chose prison. She actually thought it might be easier than a recovery program, but the judge asked her to reconsider. Schrader did, and the Amity Foundation Circle Tree Ranch became her oasis.
We used to be told when I first came here, and years of working here, I stayed on for 14 years originally because it was a safe place, because it was so fascinating, you know, to see people that were covered with tats. They were saying things like, I need to develop my integrity. You know, to me it was just shocking to see people that were clearly came from places like I did that were speaking a completely different language. It was just interesting. It was an interesting place. That kept me on, I think, more than anything.
She began as a student, the Amity word for clients in recovery, and eventually she joined the staff.
I've done everything there is to do here, whether it's business management, directing programs in prisons, opening and closing programs. At this point, hopefully it's my last position. I'm turning 66 in May, and I never plan on retiring, but I want to go down to fewer hours, but this will be my last job. And I intend to leave a legacy behind of good food and animals and what we're calling now the Seven Sisters Farm, because we have 7 female goats that are helping to maintain the gardens. Here comes the other ones. Come on, Loretta. They're all named after country western singers.
At the Amity Foundation, the animals, gardens, and artwork are just some of the elements that are used on the sprawling 60-acre campus.
Grounding is not only a term, it actually works. You know, you work with your hands, and it's very satisfying, and it really kind of connects you internally and externally in a very healthy way. Well, I don't think you can do both in March.
President Rod Mullen says there's also an emphasis on nutritious food, acquiring new skills, and even taking walks with others so people can talk and learn from each other.
Understanding how they got where they were. No one was born an addict, you know, so something happened in their past. And to understand, how did I get this way? And then how do I not continue this? And so there's a lot of things people have to learn. It's a very holistic, very comprehensive program.
Dr. Esther Sternberg is with the University of Arizona's Institute on Place, Well-Being, and Performance. While she doesn't have specific information about the benefits of nature when it comes to treating opioid addiction, studies do show that the outdoors are beneficial in the healing process overall. A natural high without ingesting chemicals.
Basically, the way you can think about it is, what is it that you see or hear or smell or touch or do in a space that can help you heal, that can reduce your stress, that can improve your moods? And there's a lot of scientific literature, a lot of scientific research in the field of sensory neuroscience, actually, that shows that all of those elements of the environment and views of the outdoors are positive, can help you heal, reduce stress, improve your moods.
Moving forward, experts say these topics deserve more attention and study. Mullen also recommends that the nation take a serious look at its history of drug addiction and responses.
We constantly kind of wake up with these crises and say, my God, what happened? And act in a panicked way rather than a thoughtful, comprehensive way about this. And I don't know why we fail to really look at poverty and lack of opportunity and addiction, which are just a key lock. There is a substantial, persistent drug abuse problem we've had in this country for 50, 60 years. We've largely spent our money on criminal justice and on trying to interdict drugs at the border. And you can see the folly of that in terms of the opioid crisis, which is the opiates they were manufactured right here.
In the meantime, Schrader will continue to count her blessings. Inspiration, she says, is waiting to be discovered.
For me, I've found that my God, my love, my magic comes from outside, from the garden, and from seeing the seeds grow and helping the babies be born, the baby goats and the chickens and the eggs. There is something much bigger than all of us.
Sheila, what's your message to people who say, none of this is going to help, I'm a lost cause?
I say to them, because I know they're afraid, you like to take chances. You like to take a risk. Try this. You want to try something different, something that scares you. Let's give this a shot. It'll pay off.
Over the course of 12 weeks, Arizona Public Media will explore the solutions, stories, and science behind the ongoing opioid epidemic in southern Arizona. Arizona Addicted will be presented here on Arizona Illustrated and across all of AZPM. Look for coverage on PBS 6, NPR 89.1, and azpm.org. And on Thursday, January 23rd, AZPM presents Arizona Addicted, a community interactive live event at the Stevie Eller Dance Theater on the University of Arizona campus. To find out more, visit azpm.org. And now we introduce you to singer, songwriter, and outspoken social activist Najima Rainey. She sings from the heart and says what's on her mind.
I've lived in or around downtown Tucson for 14 years now. One of my very favorite things about living here is that you can go see live music literally any night of the week. There are some nice music venues for big national shows, but I prefer smaller lounge shows in an intimate setting.
Baby, baby, you're so damn fine. You showed up late, means you're wasting my time. Passed out early means you're wasting my wine.
This is Najima Rainey and her new project, Just Najima, playing at Crooked Tooth. When you go see larger acts, the stakes are somewhat obvious. Promoting a new album, the annual tour, or just making money. But what makes somebody come out on a Tuesday night and make themselves vulnerable in this way, especially when you don't even know who is going to show up or if people are even listening? I could live a million years and never consider performing in this way, but I'm really glad people like Najima do. And because I have this job, I get to ask her why in the world she does it.
Thank you. This represents something so tremendous to me. Like me and Taj, having my own PA, having an RC505, writing my own music, coming up with my own harmonies, composing and arranging music. I didn't know I could do that 3 years ago. I didn't know I could do that.
It makes me want to cry. Seriously, no, it's like, it's so beautiful. Let's see.
I started using my RC505 looper where I create like harmonies and stuff. I make these loops and then Taj embellishes them and breaks them apart and we add to them until they have this more full sound. But when I'm kind of like writing the music, it starts like right here.
Palm trees flashing in your eyes like an endless summer.
Anyways, that's basically kind of, that's where the songs start. It allows me to collaborate with people and build on it and make it bigger in a way that I couldn't before. And the thought of trying to learn how to write music at 41 is a little daunting.
I'm looking for sunshine on my backbone. I'm looking for a spark gonna burn down this torch. I'm thinking it's time for me to try again.
This just kind of came out of nowhere. Like, we just got in a room one day and started making music together. So it's been pretty great.
Something like that.
I'm Taj Royabizuhajis. I have been in Tucson since 2002, playing in various musical projects. And just in the last 6 months or so, Najima and I started collaborating together.
And I like that kind of old 90s, like techno sound of this sound that I call Southwestern Gothic soul. It's like that combination of soul music with the kind of electronic edge and some of those kind of dark, gothy sounds going through. And I feel like it's kind of like I'm trying my best to create something that's very the soul music of right now.
She is one of the most captivating people that I've ever met. And when she speaks, people listen.
Like you listen to the old soul music of like, say like Marvin Gaye or Stevie Wonder, and there's so much talking about the frustrations and oppression of the 70s, and you can still really connect with it. And I really want people to be able to connect with right now. Like, don't forget what right now was like, you know?
You guys been watching Mandalorian?
Oh, no, I don't. I'm boycotting Disney because they're evil.
Right? Exactly. I don't care how cute Baby Yoda is.
I have an Amazon Fire. It's like,
yeah, we're
all complicit. Ugh, it's miserable to know how complicit you are and how impossible it is to untangle yourself from. Well, I guess I don't have to watch RuPaul's Drag Race, really, but you know, is life about? Like, what are we fighting for? What are we fighting for, man? Got the blues and I can't be satisfied. One of these days gonna catch that train and ride. I mean, I'm worried about the future as far as like, I have no pension. I'm putting a lot of heart and soul into music. Right. But I don't know, I was just such a failure whenever I tried to have like a straight, normal job. Just like I didn't belong there at all, and everybody knew it, and it was like I kept trying to like dodge bullets, but I was always getting into trouble. Maybe I'm getting too old, and baby, maybe you are too. This feels like right. Like sitting here with you, doing music, scraping by.
It was always a struggle, but that's what I did instead of going back to college, was playing bands.
Yeah.
You know.
There may not even be any Social Security, so what am I worried about? Well, I'll just be hustling until we drop dead on the streets. So let's get to it. My complicated feelings, honey, know they're the same.
Just Najima will be performing on January 31st at Hotel Congress, marking the release of her new record, Queenie. As many as 1 in 7 women suffer debilitating symptoms of depression during or after pregnancy. 1 in 5 postpartum deaths is due to suicide, now the second leading cause of death among new mothers. Lack of mental health support can cost new mothers their lives. And that's why an Arizona psychologist is on a mission to find out what moms need for lasting resilience and well-being.
When I first had Brooks, so that was almost 4 years ago now, oh boy, my postpartum experience was completely different than what I had in mind that it would be. We see all these highlight reels of the newborn babies and the moms that are smiling, and everybody looks so happy, and it's like it's all magical and it's gonna be good. And yet emotionally I was very anxious, super anxious. I mean, I have family close by and they're so helpful, and yet still on a day-to-day basis we can feel very alone.
When feelings of postpartum anxiety and isolation overwhelmed her, it caught Brianne Michael by surprise. Yet her experience isn't unusual among new moms.
The most common complication of giving birth is mental health issues. We screen every single mom every single mom, if you've been pregnant, anybody of you that's been pregnant knows you got to pee on a stick every time you go to a doctor's office, and they're checking you for ketones. They're checking your vitals because they're worried about diabetes. They're worried about hypertension. But like those are like 3 to 5% risks, whereas risk of a postpartum mood disorder or anxiety disorder, we're looking 15 to 20%. And the problem is we don't think of these as fatal illnesses, but they are. They are fatal illnesses. People die.
While maternal death rates have declined by more than a third since 2000 everywhere else in the world, U.S. rates have jumped more than 25%. Mental health plays a part in this public health crisis. Suicide is the second leading cause of death in new mothers, and the complex pressures of new motherhood can make it hard to seek help.
There's always the sense of, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm not sure, but there's this expectation that you should know what you're doing. It challenges you on the very core of who you've defined yourself as. Nobody talks about that.
That's where psychologist Suniya Luthar comes in. She wants to change how people talk about motherhood and how mothers talk to each other.
And it hit me a lot harder than I thought it would. And then, you know, when my kids get upset with it, then that's really hard.
This is Authentic Connections, a program Luthar developed to help mothers build networks of support that strengthen their resilience, their ability to adapt to adversity in a positive way.
Think of it as a book club, except that you know where women get to after the second glass of wine? We just get there automatic. We just get right to it. So getting to the nitty-gritty, to the real stuff, without messing around with it, and we have 3 months of that. That's pretty wild, isn't it? 3 months, once a week, where you have those real, deep, authentic connections.
As a little girl in India, Luthar set out to become a child psychologist. Her dream led her to the U.S. and to research on childhood resilience. That's where she noticed a missing piece in the science.
Basically, what child development experts would say is what kids need is for moms to function well, which is fine and good, except the story ended right there. There wasn't an investigation of, so what happens here? What helps moms to function well? So that started the investigation of understanding who mothers mommy. How do we make sure that mothers get tended themselves?
Through a series of studies, including a survey of more than 2,000 women, Luthar discovered 4 factors that boost maternal resilience and well-being.
One of them was this unconditional acceptance. I feel seen and loved for the person I am. A second was, when I'm in need, there is comfort for me, dependable comfort. A third was satisfaction with friendships. And a fourth was what we call congruence. The person I am in my everyday life that people see is the same person that is deep within me. So it's basically a congruence, authenticity. I am authentic. I am myself in my everyday life. These 4 things, simple things, these are huge. Applaud that and do it. Well done.
Luthar developed a model for facilitating groups that foster those 4 factors. And then, in 2016, she tested it out on a group of Mayo Clinic health professionals who were all mothers.
They showed improvements in pretty much everything: depression, stress, parenting stress, feeling loved, and even on the stress hormone cortisol. And what's more, the benefits were even greater 3 months after the intervention was over. So this was not sort of flash in the pan while the groups are running, you know, it's all good, and when they're done, it's over.
One of the things I really struggle with as a person is it's like, I really like meaning and depth and realness, and I feel like I have a place where I can feel those things and have those things is so enriching for me.
Brian Michael joined one of Luthar's groups out of professional curiosity. She runs a business that teaches stress reduction techniques. But she found the relief and support she didn't realize she needed.
One of the things that I would notice, which was kind of surprising after I would come home from the meetings, is how much more loving I would be, how much more patient I would be. It's like, and that wasn't intentional, like I was trying to shift that. It was just that with that experience of feeling loved and supported, my heart was more open to offer that to my own kids.
I'll tickle them. Every time you put your foot in my face, I've got my tickle hand.
It's about creating these networks that exist for women as they do this, that they can call upon like this. Say, I'm hurting, I'm sad, I'm flailing, I'm shaky. Somebody hold me metaphorically. And there that person is. And it's not fake and it's not phony, it's real, it's loving, it's gentle. So for me, God, what a gift. It's like magic watching this happen.
Lori?
Hey, Nikki, how are you?
Oh, there you go. Okay, hi.
How you doing?
Now Suniya Luthar is working to spread authentic connections across the country, training other facilitators and even setting up virtual groups.
I actually think it would be very effective in the sense that it does focus on a couple of key factors, right? It focuses on educating, normalizing, destigmatizing. And then the cool thing about her groups is also that she's pairing moms with the similar cohort. So if you have a STEM background, she'll pair them with a STEM background, which kind of also helps them have that, this is my group. These people get me. I just don't know how easy it'll be to recruit because stigma is still there, judgment's still there. I am not a priority because I'm a mom and I have to take care of everybody else. I am the caregiver. I am not the care receiver.
Removing those barriers requires the kind of change that runs deeper than raising awareness or changing any individual mom's mind.
I have patients that really needed to take time off after having a baby, and I talked to them and I was like, look, we're already struggling. Time off will help in terms of your mental health. Regardless of if you've had a history, you need that time off. And they were like, well, if I want to feed my other kids, I have to go back to work. That is just, there's no arguing that. It's not a system that is set up for you to succeed. You struggle, somehow you succeed. You struggle again when you have the second baby.
Connections are not optional. They are essential. What we all need is love. And now you've got a way that you figured out how to do it in a pragmatic, in a feasible, scientifically based way. Let's just do it. That's it.
Thank you for joining us here on Arizona Illustrated. I'm Tom McNamara. See you next week.